Hello everyone, my name is Ashkan Baghestani. I'm a Vice President and Head of the Contemporary Curated Auction in the Contemporary Department. And here with me today is Brooke Lampley, Chairman and Worldwide Head of Sales at Sotheby's.
Thank you for having me, Ashkan.
Thank you for being here, Brooke.
Salmon Tour's sensational canvas.
We are here to recap our very exciting Marquee Sale Week.
Fair warning then, I am going to sell it. Thank you very much indeed. Congratulations, Fergus.
Brooke, so a lot of questions today, a lot going on. First of all, what is a Marquee Week?
We hold Marquee Sale Weeks in various locations globally, twice a year. And basically it means that it's our banner, highest value art sales, what we're often, or for most people, I think best known for, the modern and contemporary evening as well as day offerings. And we unite them in one sale week. And increasingly we also offer other material, really important offerings in these sale weeks because it convenes the largest audience in the art world.
I feel the last few years, these sales week have grown. And they are longer, bigger, better, and the production behind it and the audience behind it, I feel it's never been this exciting and this big.
We get older and wiser, so we get better every time. And this season was actually the largest ever season across all of the houses in history.
Wow. And is that in terms of lot volume or just overall value?
In terms of value.
Value, okay. And it was a record-breaking week on all levels. Every sale had record-breaking sales. Solinger, Modern Evening, the Now, Contemporary Evening. Do you want to tell us a bit about all the records this week?
Yeah, there were several. I was really excited about the KOONING work on paper, which was a much cherished and beloved centerpiece of Solinger collection called Collage from 1950. We get to see a lot of masterpieces, but this was a truly one-of-a-kind work. It didn't come from a series of amazing collages he did. It was the one. It was really large, like 30 inches across, and he literally cut up his studies for women and assembled them into an abstract collage. So like it's a perfect representation of this moment when he's transitioning from figuration to abstraction. That was an amazing work, set a new record for a work on paper by the artist.
It was so rich. You always expect the work on paper to be relatively flat, but this one was very rich and dense. It was extraordinary.
And it had the artist thumbtacks still in it. I know, it was a professional favorite. It was a favorite of all of ours. But it was also loved by some private collectors. And we made records again. We continued the trend for female artists, which I'm very proud of. So a record for Elaine de Kooning, a record for Betty Saar, a record for Carol Beauvais.
Barbara KRUGER.
So many, and I'm so excited about that. You know, people ask me all the time, is the heat for female artists over? And I sort of chuckle and say, have we achieved equity? I'm not really sure.
Not at all.
So I think there's a ways to go for that. And it's really exciting to see these artists who are established and, you know, appreciated be really recognized
on the market and on both sides. Barbara KRUGER with major retrospectives and in the market, and it's great to have both. And also this year we had great records for queer artists, for example, in the Now sale, Salmon Tour, Louis Fratino, which is a big deal. They're young, but it also have great museum representation, and they're really of this new generation of queer artists who are breaking boundaries and very...
Those were two of the most hotly contested works in the Now sale, and that's saying a lot. That's a sale that is known for its intense competition. So no, I think that is a really exciting new development that we're seeing, and one, you know, that I would expect would continue.
We had 14 phones registered on the Salmon Tour, just on that work.
It was a beautiful painting.
Stunning. And we had 2 white glove sales this week, the Solinger and the Now sale. What is a white glove sale?
We actually had 3 white glove sales.
Oh, really?
Because, well, if you count the Solinger evening and day sales.
You're right. You're
separately.
Right. You're right.
Because, I mean, Vanna over here, I've been handing out a lot of white gloves, so I know.
You handed me my white glove.
Oh, I'm so happy. I've been auctioneering. I've never gotten white gloves.
I was lucky.
I have to stop handing them out and start auctioneering more. So, yeah, a white glove sale is when every single lot in the sale is sold, when it's 100% sold. And that's, it's really extraordinary. I mean, these can be really high volume sales. I don't remember how many lots were in the Solinger day sale, for example, but overall, it's probably close to 200 lots between the evening and the day sale at least. And that's a lot. So the absorption that we saw this week and how much the market consumed and of great, wonderful offerings, but of every single work is really impressive.
Very.
It also shows that we managed the sale well.
I mean, it's the best team effort. You know, when everyone, even when this conversation starts 6 months ago or 3 months ago, pricing and discussing, and I remember pricing when we started pricing that de Kooning work on paper, everyone was at a different place. Should this be much lower, much higher? Is this a masterpiece? Is this not? Because it's on paper. It's just fascinating, the whole journey from A to Z, and then you just auction it off and then it's gone. We had obviously the Solinger, but it's a time in the market where we're seeing so many great collections with amazing provenance, and this season was Solinger, last season was Maclo. What is the importance of provenance in a collection, an art collection that comes at auction?
Well, it's two things. You know, I think historically there's been a huge value or premium assigned to works that have had very limited ownership. So when we talk about things being fresh to the market, it's usually about them having had one or two, a limited number of owners in their lifetime. So you look at, say, the Henry Moore that we had in our sale, it was kept by the artist and then owned by one person. And so it's only had one owner aside from the artist until this person or whoever has the chance to acquire it now. And people really prize that. It shows also that people cherished the work and that it was, prized by its previous owner. There's a lot of attention in the market today to flipping and speculation. So people like to know that works were well kept and loved. By their previous owners. But I think there's another side to it too that's coming increasingly to the foreground, which is collections are an education in taste. Collections help other collectors and show them how other collectors did it, what kinds of connections they forged, what artists may go together and speak to each other who they didn't think maybe could. So they're inspiring. And so often I think we find that someone will come to a work in a collection because it's the type of work that they tend to acquire, but because they're looking at it in the frame of the collection, it leads them to explore other works in the collection and to discover something that they never expected that they would love.
And I'm sure Solinger, throughout all his trips, he met artists that he had probably never heard of and was a revelation. And we had some great collections also sold across various sales. We had the Paley collection with the Picasso, the Bacon. We had Tony Shafrazi's collection, was one of the leading galleries in the 80s showing, Basquiat, Warhol, and Keith Haring, who was at the forefront. And then the de Kooning works from the family of the artist. And it's just all these great stories. And it's really the story building which fascinates me with these collections, the real lineage. And they all had different relationships, granddaughters of the artist, friends of the artist, dealers. It's fascinating.
Every season is so special to us, and it's hard to imagine each time that we could exceed, whatever was the most special recent experience we've had. But this season really felt that way because we were dealing with works that came from people who really influenced the history of art as we know it today. Not just people who collected, but people who were founders of museums like Bill Paley or David Solinger, who was the president of the Whitney. These are people who had an influence on the way that we now commonly understand 20th century art. So that's a really rare thing
Pioneers.
to work with works of that kind of importance or that express the prerogative of such interesting and influential people.
And coming back a bit to the auction world, a lot of people ask, because we are on TV when we auction on the phone banks. A lot of people ask, who are you on the phone with? How do you reply to that?
I'm on the phone with my best friends. No, we are on the phone generally with private collectors who are interested to bid and potentially acquire these works. They're people who we work with all the time.
Yeah.
So I'm bidding with them in the contemporary auction on one thing, but I'm bidding with them next week maybe on a piece of jewelry or a watch or a photograph.
Yes, there are two very exciting aspects of our job is this journey you have with clients that you've known for 10, 15 years and you've helped build their collection. It's this constant debate and conversation as to what they should collect when. And a lot of them, for example, now are looking at the younger generation of artists, but also new collectors, which is fascinating, understanding the psychology, where they come from, the cultural nuances. And it's I've never seen the art world being so global, where you can meet the client from Japan that's in New York and, create a great bond.
Well, I was laughing to myself because you're asking who I'm on the phone with, but also it's who am I texting and who am I WhatsApping, and all of that's happening in the sale room. And sometimes your bids are coming in different ways, and sometimes your client is bidding online
do you
directly.
know how many requests sometimes we get for condition reports or more pictures via Instagram?
I sold something via Instagram once. I was very proud.
Fine. It's the best. How and when did you become an auctioneer?
Did I see something over here at 220?
I started auctioneering when I came to Sotheby's, so sometime after 2018. So it still feels very recent to me. But how long have you been auctioneering?
I am Ashkan Baghestani and will be your auctioneer for the second session. So I started in London about 4 years ago. You don't need a license in England. Started with various auctions, watches, jewelry, Middle East, Islamic, and then the pandemic hit. A lot of our sales went online, and then I moved here a year ago. So I had to start my training all over again, requiring a license, and it is a different approach and mentality in New York as to how you auctioneer. The room, first of all, is bigger, wider. You have to look further away. And so I officially became an auctioneer 2 months ago.
And you auctioneered today?
Yes.
And you had a little incident?
Yes. I don't know. I guess I hit my gavel too hard and it sort of broke in the middle of the auction. Fair warning. It was a bit awkward, but I think
Did someone deliver you a new gavel?
No, I then picked up just the handle and then I just hit with what I had left in my hand.
You made the most of it?
Yes. It was funny. I don't think it ever happened.
I'm sure it was entertaining for the
audience.
audience.
For the
I
audience.
wish I'd been there.
These auctions are very long. We have, 350 lots today? It's a lot for the audience to sort of keep up, and you have to look everywhere and do everything at the same time. What is your auction routine before going up there? How do you decide what you wear? What kind of, mood you're in, attitude? Because some auctions you have to be, we talk with the heads of sales, or we have a quick glimpse at what's going on and what we should focus on, where we should go slower, faster, and the pace of the auction, which is very important. Some heads of sales tell you need to go really slow, and others you need to go fast, fast, fast. What is sort of your preparation?
I would say this week, I joked that among all of the stressful things going on, the one I find the most stressful is knowing that I'm going to auctioneer, and I get fairly preoccupied by it. So it's definitely a relief when it's done.
Yeah.
There was another newer auctioneer who went before me, and she has a megawatt smile. So my preparation was to try and relax my face and practice smiling, because it was a good reminder to me of how important it is to just smile through all and every circumstance. So I experimented this time with a platform because I am on the shorter side, and I'm going to see if that made me more dynamic in the box.
So you never put the platform?
No.
Really? Interesting.
No, this is my first time.
Did you prefer it because you have more movement, and when you're up there you can actually lean?
But I have to watch the tapes to make sure that the audience preferred it too. But I preferred it. I thought it was probably better. More
It's that proximity you need to have with the room and the phone banks. It's really a performance. You know, I'm always asked, what do you prefer the most? It's a performance. I mean, I'm not thinking of Beyonce, who's going in a concert and there are like 10,000 people in front of her, but you really need to be serious but theatrical at the same time.
And also find your own personal character, which I think is the most challenging part.
Tough.
Because we all esteem a few auctioneers in the business.
Ollie Barker.
I esteem Ollie Barker.
Same.
And I'm never going to move the way Ollie Barker does.
No.
So I'm going to have to get over that and find my own moves.
He's much taller than us, if you know, that helps.
Much more British than
True.
me
That
too.
accent does help. Thank you, Brooke.